Janie here, the Mindfulness Coach. It's the day after my birthday. I'm here in Canyon Lake, Texas. It's so beautiful. Check it out. Oh my God, the color of the water looks so pretty. Oh, I gotta do this. And just like, look at that. Would you look at that? Guys, we really need to do our best to balance out screen time with green time, meaning nature, because we are overstimulated. Okay, we need to just get into a space that's still and tranquil and taking the sounds of the birds. And the whole point of green time is for you to really ground into the body and into the senses and be in a state of appreciation and take in the beauty and the awe of what's around you. And there's so much intelligence and love that nature has to offer. Oh my God, look at that. Look at me get that. Trying to get the hawk. There's a hawk right above me. I wish you could see. Look at those people, they're having a good time on the boat. See? You gotta have some fun. Anyway, going back to nature and the pros and the positives of nature is that that it has a lot to teach us, and it's an opportunity for us to get curious. See like this is actually pretty. See, like the thing about kids, just watch them. We have to be explorers and always stay curious, because in that sense and in that state, we learn and grow, right? Like, if you're not learning and growing, you're just dying. Like, how alive are you really? You know, I mean, you're breathing and you're alive, right? You have a heartbeat, but how much passion and excitement and vitality is coursing through your heart? Like, what's your pulse pulsating for? You know? What's important to you? And why? And I'm all about tapping into the power of peace that lies within. And the only way to really do that is to tap into the power of unconditional love. And most people don't really understand, overstand what that actually is. Right? It has the sound and feel as if there are no healthy boundaries that come along with it, which is actually not true at all, because self-care has a lot to do with knowing what hurts you and what makes you feel unsafe, and knowing what makes you feel good, and what brings you pleasure and what brings you joy. And it's not to say that we can avert pain altogether, but suffering, now that's something that we do have control over, and it's really about your mindset. You know, how are you thinking and why are you thinking what you're thinking? And being a skilled observer of yourself, that's really what mindfulness is all about. Self-care is about making the decision to understand yourself in ways that you never really understood before. It's intimacy. Your vitality is also dictated by the quality of your relationships. And if your relationships are unhealthy, or they bring you more stress than they do pleasure and joy, we have to evaluate those things. And if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. So knowing thyself is going into like understanding your inner child, knowing what that is, what that means, understanding trauma, understanding physiology, psychology, and how they're interfacing. Going back to self-care too. Ooh, look at that, that's so cool. knowing how to nurture yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. I think I might have mentioned that earlier. That's another part of self-care and self-love. And there's the word selfish. And I don't think it's selfish to think of thyself, but to think of thyself and thyself only and always without thinking of others. Okay, now that's selfish. And so we need to balance out giving and receiving and understanding what selflessness looks like and self-care, what that actually is, and find the balance. A lot of us are givers and we attract takers. But how much you give to others, you need to be able to give that to thyself too. That's why, like, when you go on an airplane, they tell you when the oxygen mask drops, right? Like, if there's ever any kind of issues or problems, if you have a child, to put it on you first and then assist the kids. And that's how it's supposed to be. Only there's a jacked up narrative and ideology and a story that we all bought hook, line, and sinker, and that is put everybody before you, put your work before your self-care, like put productivity and doing and accomplishing before anything else. And that's got us into a situation of sorts that's not really serving us any longer. So I know I touch on a lot of different things, but relationship with thyself and understanding what intimacy is with yourself is going to assist you with intimacy with others. And it's about connection. Intimacy isn't just sex, okay? That's like thirdatiary. Intimacy is I see you, I hear you, I feel you, I understand you, even if I wouldn't come from the same exact place. But that's another thing that brings us a lot of stress, because we can't hold space and room for other people's subjective reality. And that's what intimacy is. It's like, especially in relationship, if y'all are gonna trigger each other, and it's relationship is a tool, it's a spiritual growth tool. It's where you're going to be able to feel and see and sense any imbalances or any old wounds that you haven't really fully addressed yet. Like they're perfect for that. And if you don't have the right perspective, you'll succumb to the shitola of it, you know? And you will not use that pain and repurpose it. Use it as fuel for growth so that you can go into those spaces of unconditional love in a more deep, in a profound way. That is what it is that I help people with. It's like becoming explorers, like I was saying before, and getting very curious about digging and excavating and seeing what are you doing to hold yourself back from really experiencing everything that you ever really, really desire. I mean, do you even feel worthy of it? And that's why this self-love journey and unconditional love path is discovering that darker side of yourself. That's where they call it shadow work and stuff like that. We all have it in us, right? We all have a villain and a superhero inside of us. That's what this is. It's like a hero's journey, and you gotta know your dark side and your light side, and you gotta understand where your dark side comes from. The doubter, the critic, the judger, the imposter syndrome stuff, the one that doesn't feel like you're worthy or whatever, or that you're not valuable and you're not significant and you can't accomplish the things that you say you want to do and have and all this stuff. There's that guy and that side of self, and then there's the one that's championing you. And we have powered up the other side in a lot of different ways, just from the way the world has conditioned us. But there's another way. And as a matter of fact, Yeshua understood that way. And it's the way of the light. We gotta shine a light on the darkness and use the power of awareness and knowledge and wisdom to rise above all that is keeping us living in this world of division and separateness, especially us thinking and feeling as if we're separate from our maker and our creator, which is an illusion, because everything that powers up our hearts at this very moment, put your hand on your heart for just a second and just feel that beat. That which is making my heart beat at this very moment is the thing that's powering up all of creation. All of the universe is made of this light and sound. And when you get real curious about light and sound, and you start to overstand all that, you really can start to rise above the flesh. You can learn about how your brain and your mind and your body work and function, and the natural impulses and behaviors and things that trigger it and all that. You get real familiar with it, and then you get to outwit it. You get to use the light to outwit the dark, and eventually they become friends. See, we're not supposed to shame and condemn the darkness, okay? The dark and the light, that's basically like our nervous system. We're either in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, okay? Or we're in rest and digest, and that's supposed to be our baseline. But somehow we've created a baseline where it's just like, and then we got to do all this stuff to like try to get to the center of the Tootsie Pop. P-O-P, the piece of peace that lies within. Okay, there's a word called paz mesa. That means peace, and mesa in Greek means peace. In Spanish is paz, and mesa in Greek is within, inside. So paz mesa, I'm helping people tap into their paz mesa, because that's heaven. God is within us. Jesus talks about how the kingdom of heaven is within, or God is within. We have to understand that we got to go inside. This is an inside job. And once we do that, our external reality also starts to flourish in a lot of beautiful ways. So it's shedding skins. It's like peeling the onion, like Shrek says. It's getting to the center of the Tootsie Pop, man, and then powering up thyself from that place. Instead of the wounded self having your, like, living your life, imagine living it from the other self, the soul self, the self that's connected to divinity, because we're divinity and humanity. Light is interfacing with the flesh. This is temporal. It will die, right? It will go away. However, that which powers it up, that cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transmuted or transferred, and that's the step I'm talking about. So we are not only human, we are both at the same time. Thanks so much for listening, if you listened to all of this, and grateful to experience life. Peace be in you. To be a part of my community, like and follow @Janie the Mindfulness Coach, and visit JanieTerrazas.com.